What are your thoughts on Tyler Adams in the midfield overall?
I think he was doing too much. Mm-hmm. He was overcommitting. He was out of position. Tyler Adams is at his best when he is just protecting the back four. He's a 6. Don't try and make the game. Just read the game. Break up plays. Get it off your foot. That's when Tyler Adams is his best. Don't rely on him to be Sergio Busquets all of a sudden. Just allow him to just be the Makalele. I always go back to Claude Makalele. That's what we need. Just be that protector, the enforcer. Put out fires before they happen. Great.
Right. Okay, hold on. Wait. I'm hitting pause right there for you, because what happens when a team gives these players, our center backs and a Tyler Adams, the ball, and they cut off everything else? What do you expect Tyler to do in that situation? Because he is going to try to make the game, just like any of us would try to make the game if we were the ones getting time on the ball. So what do you do? What do you advise him to do if that's the situation? Because that's what Japan did in a lot of situations.
Well, it's pretty simple. I mean, you have 2 options, really. It's out wide, and then that ball's forward into the channel, or it's playing a ball to your 9, who's checking for the ball in a lot of cases, depending where you are in the field. But it's either a 9 checking, you're playing to the 9, or the 9's checking, that center back comes with them, and it's a run from the winger in behind that vacated space. It's really that's it. And you keep it simple. You got 3 options always, pop, 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 and you already know where those players are. And that's where we should be at this phase of the campaign, just before the World Cup. Those ideas should already be imprinted. Those runs should be already there. It shouldn't be a question. But we're questioning where players are and where runs are. That shouldn't be happening at this stage. And that's why I'm so frustrated, because I'm watching and I'm like, damn, is this really where we are?
Yeah. And I think it's interesting that you bring up that we're trying to do too much. I think Weston was trying to do too much too. And that makes me concerned that if you are watching the U.S. play, that once they get frustrated, they try to start doing more things on their own and start doing the simple things, because they're all trying to make something happen. And again, I think that speaks to our youth, which can work for and against us. So Heath, talk to me a little bit more about Luca De La Torre, because I'm curious about your thoughts. Would you start him against Saudi Arabia? Did you see enough? Do you know what you're going to get?
No.
Obviously there's moments where he's all right, but
but he doesn't give me enough
every week.
Yeah, he doesn't. He's. I think that's a great shout. One, that he's not playing every week. And I know we're going to get criticized for plenty of people, including Serginho Dest, on that conversation. But he doesn't give enough for me defensively, and he doesn't give enough for me offensively. He connects the lines well. Now, if we're playing against an opponent that's going to make that very, very difficult, Yunus Musa is the only one that we can do that at that level that can connect those lines like that on the dribble. I thought that early first run from De La Torre was good, but his speed of his game was not the speed of Weston McKennie or Tyler Adams in terms of the ability to play one touch in and out of spaces and think quickly, right? And even that was only a few glimpses that we saw. I would rather have another defensive player or an attacking player, and not the two-way player in that position with Luca De La Torre there. I don't think.
Well, we brought on Tillman, we brought on Cardoso,
and he didn't impress there at all.
Both of them.
How could he at that?
I would have liked to see Gio Reyna in that spot, to be honest. But someone who's good on the ball.
I'd like to see somebody good on the ball there that has an energy that's either, again, I don't think Luca De La Torre is great defensively, and I think he missed out on the press, and you could see him and Tyler Adams at times talking about the gaps that they were finding, and I don't think with 3-man midfield, we should not have gaps in our press. We should know what the triggers are. Either you pull your front 3 back or you push everybody forward, but Japan was having fun with us in our press because they almost always broke it. And that's just a lack of organization. And again, guys doing too much. They arrive late, 1-2 passes out the other side. Now we've all got to run 40 yards and they're on the counterattack and we're on the back foot. And I think Luca De La Torre is not the only one to blame for that, because that's Tyler Adams and Weston McKennie.
I saw Gio Reyna one time go high press. He made a decision on his own to press.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden Japan's like, thank you very much. Spray the ball out wide.
That's the youth. That's the youth, right? Guys are trying to be impactful. And what Japan decided is that we don't need individual impact. We need collective impact. And we're just going to do everything we do together, win or lose. We're going to make it difficult.
That's always been that's their DNA, though, man. That's how they've always played.
Yeah. But you could see desperation. We see it all the time with guys. You turn a ball over and you immediately chase it and press it. But Japan knew exactly when, we get back to collective again, and we play straight to the same thing that we know is working over and over and over again. And as the U.S. started to break it, Japan started to adjust a little bit and figure out, they've broken it in the start of the second half. They've lumped the ball long a couple times. How do we make those adjustments? And so for me, to go back to your question about Luca De La Torre, I just think that we need somebody who's going to have either more defensive impact in the way that we press, which leads to attacks, right? And when we press right and we press in the right spots in the field, those kick off our attacks. Or we need an attacking player that's better at being more impactful in that spot going forward. And that could be a Gio Reyna, it could be a Brendan Aronson in the 10 spot, it could be whoever.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious to see what decisions Greg makes for that Saudi Arabia game. And again, we're going to have our preview on Monday for you guys. That'll be live here on the YouTubes at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, or you can listen to it anytime on In Soccer We Trust on any podcast platform of your choice. I'm Jimmy Conrad alongside Charlie Chuck Wagons. I give you the plural there, Charlie, and Hollywood Heath Pearce. So okay, we've talked about most of the team. Let's go to the front three. Brendan Aronson, maybe not as impactful and influential, but there is something about his game that I think we all appreciate, and we know that Greg definitely appreciates that. Even if he doesn't have a chance on the ball, he's still a pest in some ways. So I wanted to get your thoughts on that. Do you think Sargent? I kind of want to see Sargent start from the beginning against Saudi Arabia when Saudi Arabia is fresh, when we have a game plan going into that. I'd like to see him at the 9. I wish Timo Weah was healthy. It would be nice to kind of see him on the other side. We brought in Jordan Morris, much to the chagrin, I'm sure, of all the MLS haters out there. And he didn't really do one thing or another for me. He didn't hurt us. He didn't help us either, but that pretty much goes for everybody.
He did have 1 or 2 moments when he first came on where he was trying to run at people inside to break that first sort of press instead of just playing negatively. Yeah. That I thought like forced at least Japan to shift over a little bit more and go, okay, this guy might be able to run past. Now, after that, it was indifferent to me, but there was this like a different feeling. Like you talk, I don't know if it was you, Charlie, I think it was you that had mentioned earlier on about like how many times did we get in these one-on-one positions and do something with it? And I saw Jordan Morris willing to do that in the first couple minutes. And I was like, okay, you could see Japan react to that. But then nothing came.
So here's my issue though, Heath. We talked about this before, but I'll circle back. I thought we started both halves pretty brightly. Like our energy was good. We're on the front foot. We're trying to, be proactive and make the game.
5 minutes.
Yeah. Okay. First 5 minutes. And then Japan's like, to what Charlie said before, all right, we got you figured out. We know what you're going to do now. Oh, we recognize your adjustments. And that collective understanding from Japan is something I wish we had as a group that, okay, this is what they're doing. We're going to now take that away and see if they can solve it. And we're just not good at doing that right now, or at least it didn't show against Japan. So your thoughts on the front three, Charlie?
I'll start with Aronson. I thought really tough game for him to find the game because we couldn't find the game. So, it's really harsh to judge Jesus Ferreira on this performance, but I will go back to that one opportunity that Sergiño Dest gave him a layup and he botched. So those are the moments where you got to stand out, and he didn't. So that was his moment. I think Sargent, when he came in, there were some good movements. He touched the ball a lot more than Jesus Ferreira did. But I'll go back to, he's not a dribbler. So when he was running at the back line and gave the ball away on the dribble, can't dribble, right? Dribble for nothing.
He's a get it, play it. He's a get it, play it, and move guy. Get it, play it, move. Get it,
play it, move. Max. Touch max off his feet. And then looking at Gio. Defenders to commit. So now we have somebody who's creating space for other people on the dribble, and then he can play those zinging balls that we've seen him play Erling Haaland in his Dortmund days last year. So for me, again, we just weren't threatening. That's the word that comes to me. We weren't threatening. It was so easy for Japan, and that should not be the case. How many times did we test their keeper?
Well, yeah, I guess one of the things that we talk about, at least I use this word a lot, is suffer. I saw us suffer. You could see we were suffering. You could visibly see that we were nervous and suffering at some point.
But it's self-inflicted suffering.
That's true, and that is actually a step up for us. In some, we've evolved, because I think in some point, maybe when I was playing, the other team was just better, and you were suffering because they were just better. We're going to run into opponents like that too. England, on paper at least, should theoretically make us suffer because they're better. But we were self-inflicting and creating our own issues. I just don't think we made Japan suffer. And I think that's where we're a little bit frustrated, where okay, maybe a couple moments here that Jesus Ferreira could have scored there, but it wasn't like this consistent threatening pressure where they were under it. Like, remember we played against Morocco. We had Morocco suffering. They looked like they were suffering. But in Japan, this Japan game, I didn't see it as much. And so obviously that's got to be a point of concern for the coaching staff.
It didn't feel like a friendly. It did not feel like a friendly to me. And that's the difference, is like whether it was how we played against Uruguay or Morocco, those felt like friendlies. Those felt like each coach came out with their idea of how they want to get out of the game and players they want to play and test and tinker and sort of see how your teams react in different environments. And this felt like a real game. From start to finish, it felt like a real game. The intensity, the speed of play, the game plan of there being a consequence. It felt like Japan played this as if there was a consequence on the line. And I think the U.S. was still in sort of this tinkering friendly mode. And you could see the giant gap between the two of them in terms of, if this was today, if the first World Cup game was in 4 days, I'd be really worried in terms of, again, more not having enough answers to know how is it that we are going to go into a World Cup 3 games and approach every team the way that you have to get a point or 3 points in those games, versus thinking that we can come out and play and just and we have the quality to win all those games by just playing.